All right, it is 5:30 PM on July 9th, 2025. Welcome to the Municipal Building Commission meeting. For the record, we have Terry DeSisto, Jackie Romanicki, Jerry Freecott, Gail Clark, and myself. So we have a quorum, unlike our last meeting. And first item is to approve the minutes of May 7th.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then I'm going to do this in two different ways. So one is that we have a bunch of bills that I signed last time when we didn't have the quorum, but that we need to approve. And so, Mason, are those all of the bills on the first page of the agenda and the top three on the second page?
Correct.
So,
yes. Yep, those are all for ratification.
right, so is there a motion to ratify the payment of those bills?
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So then we'll leave the newest bill plus the add-on bill for a moment. Moving on, we have representatives of the water. Oh, we did have two. We have one. Oh, there he is.
Jack, do you want to start with the library first? Since
You want to start with the library first? Okay.
A little more expensive.
Then let's start with the library. So, Mason, where are we?
All right, so I think we have Mark joining us as well as Jessica from LLB. So we're prepping to go out to bid, officially out to bid for the flooring services and the moving services on the 16th, which is next Wednesday, I believe. So all the ads will be public at that time. So we're here to talk about the bid packages.
So we need to approve the bid package to go out, correct?
And then any questions, and then there's some outstanding items that I think internally we're working to finalize before the 16th. So just putting the finishing touches on those packages, but then looking to get it out on the street and get things moving. So
Okay.
Mark and Jessica are here to provide any insight and any updates they have.
All right, well, actually, I guess I'll call on Mark first, who's our consultant.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Municipal Building Commission. It's good to be here this evening, and you are correct. We do seek approval of the MDC, enabling us to go out to advertise for replacement flooring and roofing services related to the library replacement flooring project. We have 100% set of construction documents. As Mason indicated, we're putting the finishing touches on them. One of the things that came up very recently in the past week was the amount of resilient flooring, if we did not make any modifications, would have required a filed sub-bid. The amount of resilient flooring just exceeded the $25,000 minimum threshold. So we had conversations with Amy Reilinger of the library, and we have discussed it, and there's an area that was previously scheduled for resilient flooring, and we find now that it's in our best interest, the city's best interest and that of the library, to put down carpeting so that that area is quieter. And we all agree, and we're going to be making a slight modification to the drawings, and just wanted to bring it to your attention because we do seek to go out in a single procurement for a single phase project for the replacement flooring at the library. And there is a separate procurement, obviously, for the moving services, as that is a Commonwealth of Massachusetts state bid list item. So I've reviewed the documents. I feel that they are in keeping with the spirit and the intent of everything that has heretofore been discussed with the MDC, and make a recommendation that we go out to bid.
For the record, Andrew Acosta has joined the group. So where is the area in question that we are substituting carpeting?
Fourth floor, which was scheduled for, so it's outside the realm of the typical end user area, more of a staff area.
Right, the fourth floor is not open to the public, if I remember right.
Correct.
Okay, so with that having been said, remind us, what is the schedule? When will the bids be due? When will we be expected to make a recommendation to the mayor? And I believe we're looking at work starting in Thanksgiving.
November for the moving services, the 18th of November for the moving services to commence, with December 1, happens to be a Monday. And so the work, the library will be closed to the public effective Monday the 1st. And the work has the month of December. If the work is not completed by the 31st of December, then there are LDs, liquidated damages, at $1,000 a day. The bid date is scheduled for August 8th, which is Friday, and we will be opening them at 10 o'clock in the morning and reviewing them immediately, checking references, going through all of that. And during the week of the 11th, we'll make a recommendation, and was wondering whether or not the MBC would schedule a meeting on Wednesday the 13th.
Yes, we have
enabling you to make an approval recommendation to the mayor.
Yeah, we have moved our August meeting back to the 13th to accommodate that schedule.
Perfect.
And then so is the move management a subcontractor to the general, or is it a separate contract?
Okay, so the moving services are a direct procurement from the city of Attleboro with the mover under the state bid list through combis or procurement. The move manager is a sub-consultant to LLB Architects, and they have developed the the move management plan, and will be overseeing that aspect of it with library staff.
Okay. And so I assume we have appropriate language that the moving company will report to the move manager, is that?
Correct, I believe that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we maintain the lines of authority, because I would hate to see the move manager say, do this, and then saying, oh, we only listen to Mason.
Yeah, there's language in there. Actually, the chain of command here is that Amy Reilinger, and as director of the library, has the ultimate authority. But the moving services company obviously will have to do things in accordance with the Dewey Decimal System and the boxing and all of the other requirements contained therein.
Okay, good. And then Mason, have we updated our consultants' contracts, and so we're going to be okay to pay them for the period of time we're talking about, right?
So we haven't extended the dates yet. So we'll do some no-cost change orders over the next month to extend those dates. Right now, those contracts are through September, so we'll be looking to extend those through December, potentially January, just because of the closeout process. But we'll be looking to do some
I mean,
no-cost
we
change
probably
orders.
should extend it through the end of January, because things sometimes don't finish on time.
That was the recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Correct.
Based on the contract, because LLB's contract was, while the project needed to be completed by September 30th in the original concept, their services extended through the end of October for closeout purposes. The same with Port.
Okay.
And I will say, Mr. Chairman, last time you did not vote on, because you didn't have a quorum, but the LLB had offered a credit to omit the indoor air quality testing frequency, to reduce the frequency that was originally scheduled when the library was going to, when the flooring project was going to be done in a phased manner. So I did not recommend, and Mason and I concur, that we would defer that until later because of the funding mechanism for the project, and we didn't want to lose the capability of adjusting contracts should the need arise.
Right, Mason, you had mentioned that to me. It's related to ARPA funding.
Correct. So these were, so the funding for the architect contract was ARPA funding. So that funding was obligated by December 31st deadline of last calendar year. So at this point, we wouldn't look to do a deduct change order for that credit at this time, in case there's, some other escalation in another area where we could move that to a different cost code if some, unforeseen issues came up in the fall, or in the winter when we're actually doing this. So if we reduce that contract now, those funds would go back to the feds. So we are not interested in doing that at this time. If at the end of the project there's a credit, it's all taxpayer dollars, we'll obviously, recognize that credit and send those dollars back. But at this point, it's not in our interest. So.
But if something unforeseen happened, we couldn't get the money back once
Correct.
we gave it back to them.
Correct.
It only flows in one direction.
Correct.
So therefore, that's why we're doing that. So I guess I can move on to LLB. Do you guys have anything to add to what Mark and Mason have related to us?
Not particularly. We've gone back and forth with Mark over today and went over the changes in scope. So we're just waiting for him to confirm the reduction of LVT scope.
Okay.
But working with him and his team to put together the rest of the specifications and forms needed to submit for bid.
Okay. Do you have any sense of where the bidding climate is these days?
Right now, going out to bid August 8th, we're in that period where the summer projects have already gone out and most likely been awarded. And I think we're at a good place. And I wouldn't be worried about the amount of bidders.
And there's
I don't know if Mark, if you have anything additional to.
I had a conversation 2 weeks ago with a flooring contractor in Rhode Island-based commercial flooring contractor, who indicated that they had a decent backlog, but that they were interested in procuring more business, especially for the end of this year. They don't seem to have been fully booked in the way that they have been in other prior years. So I do believe it's a favorable economic climate or bidding environment to extract competitive pricing. And I don't see the uncertainty with tariffs and force majeure and the availability of materials as being an issue, although uncertainty still abounds in the worldwide marketplace. I was not told that these products with the standard type quick ship programs are significantly affected by some of the other market uncertainties. So hopeful, fingers crossed, is really where I think we're at, but I haven't heard anything contrary to the interests of the city and the project.
Good.
I'd also add to that most of the products that are specified are made somewhat locally within, the eastern, southeastern, midwestern states too. So I wouldn't worry so much about the specific products that we'll be looking to attain.
They're not coming on a boat from China, in other words.
Exactly. They're not being made overseas. I would say everything on the materials list are pretty much stocked items and made in the U.S.
Good. Any questions from? Nope. So, therefore, Mason, you and the city solicitor have blessed the documents that have been prepared by LLB and Mark.
Yeah, so we're finalizing that this week. We're looking to put the ads out tomorrow and then have the official bid set documents available next Wednesday. So we're still putting the finishing touches, but we're in that final review stage. So
And we
feel
have some
ready.
ad alternates, if I remember correctly.
We do, that is correct. I believe it's,
Can you just detail for us again so we remember what the ad alternates are?
Jessica, do you have those handy?
I was just looking to open.
There are 3 of them?
I do not have them particularly handy.
I believe
Well,
it's,
like,
I have
sorry,
them,
Mr. Chairman.
I have them available.
You have 'em?
Yeah, so we have
Sorry about that.
the tile at the restrooms,
Yeah.
and then the LVT at, the BOH, which I believe is that 4th floor, so that's what we're changing to carpeting, correct?
But that was an ad
Correct.
alternate for the 4th floor anyway?
Correct. And then the rubber at the stairs, which are those back stairs towards
Oh,
the
yeah,
rear
yeah.
of the
The
building.
concrete stairs?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So alternate number 2 was luxury vinyl tile at the BOH in lieu of VCT.
Okay.
So we'll be making a final adjustment to that, but those were the 3 add alternates, not deduct alternates, that were going to be considered.
Okay.
And those are in order of priority, correct? Because we have to, essentially, we have to go in that order as we
Yes, if
pursue
you,
which.
if you don't accept 1, you can't get to 2. If you don't accept 2, you can't get to
Right.
3.
Correct. So those are prioritized
Right.
based on the needs of the library.
Yeah.
So with the reduction of scope of that VCT, we would then remove number 2, that LVT, because it would be the same sub-bidder. So we wouldn't be able to add that in.
So is the carpet on the 4th floor then become part of the base bid? Is that what we're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
There was
So then there would be
replacement flooring
two
out
So-
there.
so
The
we'll- so
alternate
we'll
2
only
was
have-
just to
We'll
go
only have 2
from,
alternates then. We'll only have 2 alternates, Mark?
Potentially, yes, and if that's okay with the MBC, we'd like the flexibility to have 2, or potentially a 3rd, depending on the final scope and quantity and estimated cost of resilient flooring that still remains.
I'm not sure I understand what you just said, so could you explain that again?
Well, certainly. We're trying to find the sweet spot of resilient flooring quantity and its resulting cost. So there may be a portion of the 4th floor in which we reduce, where we add carpeting, where the library staff is looking for a quieter area, and leave some resilient flooring. So if we find the sweet spot, then alternate 2 could remain just in a smaller, reduced scope.
Okay. Everybody got that? All right.
We're
Good.
just seeking flexibility as we finalize the change from resilient material to carpeting, so that we fulfill the desires of the library staff and team without adversely impacting the budget or the cost of the project.
Okay, so, understanding that the package is not quite 100% ready, do you recommend that we authorize it to be bid?
I do, sir. I think that we will take care of this final nuance tweaking as a result of the curveball in an attempt to avoid the file sub-bid process and have a single bid procurement for all flooring in single source responsibility by a single flooring contractor, so that we avoid the potential risk. We're going to be all set to go out. I just wanted to, give you the full story, because we are making a minor tweak to what had previously been submitted to, reviewed, and authorized by the MDC.
Okay, and Mason, you're satisfied that we should authorize it?
I am.
Okay. Before we take a motion, any questions? I guess a motion is in order to authorize the bid package for the Attleboro Public Library flooring replacement project to go out to bid.
Move to approve. Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, anything else on the library that any of you need to bring to our attention?
No, thank you.
No,
Okay,
nothing here, thank you.
good. Then we'll see you on the 13th of August.
All
Very
right.
good.
Thank you
Have a
very
good night.
much.
Thank you.
See.
Thanks, Mark. Thank
Hey.
you, Jessica.
All right, now I guess we get to water. So, Mr. Superintendent,
Good evening.
tell us about all the projects.
Not all of them, but we've got a lot. So let me start with the Pawtucket interconnection. We have an appointment with the who is it? The engineering firm.
Tata and Howard? Was
Not,
that
it's
up?
not Tater and Howard. It's
No, it was
Waterline Industries.
Waterline Industries, yeah.
And to do testing with the operators on Friday. We're also going to get all the manuals and for SCADA and the manual pump SOP. All punch list items are complete, besides a fire extinguisher mounts and signage for an exhaust fan. We're going to be looking to schedule a final fire inspection next week, followed by occupancy permit. There were no June bills, so final closeout will be the end of July, so we can look to have it in the August meeting.
So at our August meeting, we'll get the final requisition.
Yes.
Okay, and then we have a request to grant substantial completion. That's as of what date, Mason?
This was,
In our package here somewhere, I'm sure.
that is for, I apologize, that's for Wading River. I think we had already voted water line substantial completion in May, if I'm not mistaken. The one in front of us is for the permanent PFAS at Wading River, so I believe that was just a.
So we don't need to
I
approve the
believe we're all set. I
certificate?
think that was a carryover.
Okay, so therefore, we don't need to do that. So, the end is in sight.
The end is definitely in sight.
Believe.
And anybody have any questions on this project? Okay, then moving on, temporary PFAS?
Yeah, temporary. We are at substantial completion. I think that was in the last meeting as well, but there wasn't a quorum to vote. That, am I correct?
That's the one for,
Yeah.
that we need to grant substantial completion for, Mason, correct?
Correct.
And that's as of what date?
That was May 29th, 2025.
And you're in agreement with that?
I am.
And Mason, you're in agreement?
I am.
Motion's in order to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Did into the,
So a couple,
Bring up, I think the, Pawtucket, I think the paperwork was put forward, but I don't think you had enough of the quorum, so I don't think that was officially voted on substantially.
That's correct.
that's correct.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the date. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize.
For Pawtucket, I think it was the 30, either like you said, the 29th or the 31st of May. I have the,
Okay, well, we can go back.
The permanent.
Well, why don't we take a motion to approve substantial completion of the Attleboro Pawtucket Water Interconnect as of the date that's on the document that Mason has custody of, whatever that may be, and he can fill that date in the minutes. How about that?
As long as that works for you, Jack, I appreciate it.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So, in terms of the temporary project then, so we've now approved substantial completion. What's the story for final completion?
So, a couple of things are going on right now. The Wading River, the old plant is offline right now because of elevated TTHMs, which is a disinfection byproduct. It's when you add chlorine to organic material, it creates these byproducts, and we found elevated numbers in the system. We thought it would be best if we shut that plant down for the time being because there is no treatment for the organic material. And that was with a conversation with DEP. We also, during that same conversation, found elevated numbers of PFAS at Wading River. A couple of things that are waiting to happen is we have some training on the pre-filters next Tuesday, and then we have hopefully the installation of the media August 18th. That's the schedule. We've been back and forth with the contractor trying to get that media installed.
Okay.
And then we can look to get that turned back on.
And how will you deal with the organic problem?
So it's a seasonal thing. Typically you see that in the summer and early fall. So we're probably looking at late September to being able to put that back online. The new permanent plant will deal with the organics as well as PFAS. The temporary does not deal with organics. It only deals with PFAS.
Okay.
So we kind of got to play that little dance around there. And they've had problems in the past with the TTHMs. I know 2022, they had a similar situation where they violated the operational evaluation limit.
So with that plant offline, we're still okay with our volume of water?
Yeah, we're doing fine right now. We're running on West Street. We are running off of Manchester, and it's the rains have helped. So we're doing very well right there.
It rained 14 out of 15 Saturdays in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My golf league was devastated.
So yeah, we've been doing very well there. We're not blending with ores. We're running strictly Manchester. Once we get the ozone project, which is still being worked on, we're going to look to switch back to ores for the manganese.
Okay. All right, anything else on that project, or should we move to permanent?
Yeah, that's it for me. If there's
Okay.
any questions.
Where are we on the permanent? Because I see here on the agenda, vote to approve Bishko Building System Certificate of Substantial Completion. That can't be right.
That's for the
That was for
temporary.
temporary, that got
Oh,
switched,
so
I
it's-
apologize, that was a typo.
Okay.
That was what we just did.
Okay.
That was backwards.
So on the permanent plant, where are we with our OPM?
So we have a contract in place with Wright Pierce. So we believe we signed that contract. It was, I want to say June 15th, but I might be off by a day or so. So we do have a contract in place. We will issue a notice to proceed when we're ready to sort of have them actively working under their contract. We're in the sort of in-between stages right now as we wait for the authorization to award from Mass DEP. There's a little bit of back and forth still between Tata and Howard. We just got some notification from today from Matt that they asked some additional questions. So we had submitted the full package by the June 30th deadline as required, but they had also given us an extension till July 31st. It's possible that that extension was more for them than for us because we have everything in and they're definitely backlogged. But so that's still underway. They did give us notice that they're, at least at this point, they're not interested in covering the escalation of costs under the SRF authorization. So we had the 35,181,000 was the, I believe that's right, was the SRF authorization. They've said that their participation above that level, they're not looking to be the ones to basically provide the financing for that. So depending on where the final cost of the project land, it's possible we'd have to do some internal financing, some potential alternate financing sources, like our own borrowing for potentially some of the
But we
engineering
do have a
services.
bond issue in place for
Correct.
50 million, right?
Correct. We don't get the same benefit of, some of that potential loan forgiveness or, the lower interest financing, but it'd be a very small portion of the project, potentially just some of the engineering and some of the OPM costs. So we'll still navigating how, what our best option is for that. We're not quite at that stage of needing the funding, in hand, because we're obviously not in a cash flow state at this point. So that's still sort of an internal discussion, but we're waiting on that authorization to award so we can engage the general contractor and really get this thing moving. And at that point, that's really when we'll issue the notice to proceed for the OPM and have them sort of involved on the day-to-day.
So, I guess I've forgotten, where are we? Did we open bids?
Correct. So we've made a recommendation to award, but we're required to have that vote from DEP, essentially that authorization to award from DEP before we can actually put pen to paper with a
Okay.
contract for the general contractor. So with that bid process, there was time built in for that, and an expectation of sort of that delay built in. Basically, we're just pending that authorization, and then we can put pen to
So
paper.
when are we projecting they would start?
It's, it depends on when we get that authorization, but I believe the timeline was really next year was actual, like, construction stages was starting in end of 26, is that right?
I had a conversation today, and I know based on where.
There are 10 or 15 people at home, so would you come up to the podium and speak, Matt, so that
I had
everybody
a
can hear?
conversation with Matt Barry earlier, and basically what he was saying, I know things can kind of shift a little bit, but I asked him, shovel in the ground, what are we looking at? And he was thinking potentially October.
Oh, okay.
And we're looking at basically a 2-year substantial completion.
Okay.
With being fully complete sometime after
But
that.
we're still on track.
Correct. And that contract with the OPM is a 2-year contract, so part of our reason to not have that contract commence until the issuance of the notice to proceed.
We don't want to pay them for doing nothing
Exactly.
while we're waiting for the
Exactly.
state to approve it, right?
Exactly. And they wouldn't really be providing any services at this stage. It's a smaller scope in terms of a typical OPM. It's really only 1% of the total project costs. It's a much smaller scope.
Okay. Anything else we need to know about that project?
No, I think we're
We're in good shape.
in good shape.
Okay. So, guess, Mason, I'm wondering, we have a bill on here for Lindsay Street?
Yes, this is for Lindsay Street Engineering. Let me just make sure. I think
Are we doing something on Lindsay Street?
don't think this should have been on the agenda. This isn't an NBC project, so I apologize for that.
Okay.
That got slipped in with the 9 other
So we'll
bills.
cross that off.
Good.
Good. I know I'm getting old and confused, but
The last one, though, we did have that additional bill submitted by LLB.
Yep.
So that came in yesterday, and that's for their services through the end of June. So you'll see on the bill, everyone has a copy. They were actively engaged in the final stages of the design phase. So you'll see the invoices really just for design phase services getting up to that last 10%. So that came in through June. They're kind of engaging in their last 10% right now. So we expect them to be billed out 100% next month for the design phase. But this came in yesterday. We'd like to be able to pay it this week because this is sort of our last week to pay FY25 invoices. So we'd like to not have to carry over as much.
Sure.
So if possible, we'd love to see the approval from the NBC to go ahead and pay this invoice.
right, so a motion would be in order to approve LLB Architects invoice dated 6/30/2025 in the amount of $2,438.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So, I think we have finished our agenda. Thank you, gentlemen, as always. Unless there's something that you want to say, Matt?
I have the paperwork for the substantial completion for Pawtucket. April 3rd is the date. I can pass on the paperwork, or if you just wanted the date, April 3rd was the date.
Yeah, we'll make sure the minutes reflect that date.
April 3rd.
Okay.
Thank you,
And then I guess we have finished our business, and we can adjourn until August 13th.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.